so that we have the recording and we can share that with anybody who does miss or anybody else who wants to follow along later. But I'll just introduce myself first and introduce a few people who are on tonight. I'm Jamie Kubota, and this is my program WHISK, and this is our first WHISK Cooks event. Super excited to start doing this where we cook along. And we got into virtual cooking this last year when we had to go remote, and it was actually, quite a big change, I think, for everybody to start doing these virtual cooking demonstrations, but it's actually been a lot of fun, and thought we'd continue and see if we can't get more people cooking. So this is our first event of what we hope will be a series, and we're cooking along to different themes. This one is Korean, so we're going to make the Korean kimbap, which is Korean sushi, and then also a Korean Bibambap bowl. So we're excited about that tonight. Our next one coming up in 2 weeks will be a Mexican theme. We're going to be doing burrito bowls and guacamole and salsa. So you might join us for that. And then we have one 2 weeks after that. We're doing a baking theme. We're going to do a couple of pumpkin recipes that Cameron has come up with for us. So Cameron Cow is on the call, and she's come up with some amazing little pumpkin recipes. So we'll be doing that towards the end of October, thinking ahead towards Halloween and, pumpkin season. So that's what we have lined up for now. Just a few housekeeping things. I will be sending all of y'all an email. So everybody that signed up, you'll get an email following, just a little post-evaluation survey so we can get a little information about who came, who's cooking with us, and also so that we can learn from what's going on and add to our program and also improve our events moving forward. So would be great if all of y'all can take a few minutes, a very few minutes, to fill that out. We would appreciate it. I'll send you the link after today. So I want to be respectful of everybody's time. It's 7:03. Jared is just coming on, and Mercedes has just joined us. Nicole is here. So we've got a nice little group started. We'll jump right in. So tonight we are making the bibimbap and the kimbap. And the nice thing about that is it's really lends itself to meal prepping, because the same ingredients essentially, or similar with a few little tweaks, go into both dishes. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to start our pickled daikon. So we're going to make a quick pickled daikon. The daikon you got in your bags. So this was a piece of daikon. Daikon's a large radish. You find them usually pretty large. So the ones that I bought were like, I don't know, 1.5 feet long, and I cut them into pieces for you. Then you can peel that. And I think has everybody already done the daikon? Everybody prepped their daikon. I'll just show you really quickly. It's awesome. So you can peel it super fast, right? And then you cut it into little matchstick pieces. So there's that peeled, but you saw how easily that peels. And then we're going to make the quick pickling spice. So in our pot, we're going to put 1/2 cup of water, and then your rice wine vinegar. So that's 1/2 cup of rice wine vinegar. It's going to go into the pot. And then we put the pickling spices. So in this little container is the sugar, the salt, there's some black pepper, and then a pinch of turmeric in there. So that's going to go in. So the turmeric is what's yellow in there. If you haven't cooked with it before, I have some turmeric here. See if we can show that a little better. So that's ground turmeric. It actually looks like ginger. So if you buy it in the market, you can buy fresh turmeric, and it looks a little bit like ginger, but it has more of an orange hue to it. Or you can buy it ground like this. This is from Trader Joe's. And what it's going to do is it's going to color our daikon a little bit yellow. So it's just going to give it an interesting color. So we're just mixing that up, putting that on the heat. I'm going to do it over here because it's faster. So just put that over high heat. And what we want to do is bring that up to a boil. So that's going to come up to a boil. Then we pour that over our vegetables that we've prepped. So I'm just going to quickly cut mine. I did one earlier, but realized I want to show you guys. So I'm just going to quickly cut this into strips. And you can do this in 2 different ways. You can do this just in a bowl. So that's what I have here. You can just do this in a bowl, or you can do this in a jar. So you can line up your little strips of veggies into a jar and then pour the pickling liquid over the top while it's in the jar. And the nice thing about that is then it's just ready to go right into your fridge when you're done with it. So you can store it in the fridge in your jar. You can also store it in your bowl. So if you don't have a jar, it's no worry. This is one of those things where it's nice to have a bunch of mason jars because you can use it for stuff like this, for meal prepping, or you can just save a little jar from something and then you've got jars. So I just kind of pack it in there as much as will go in like that. And usually if I have the bigger piece of daikon, I would cut my daikon exactly the height of my jar. So here you can see, here's a jar that I did ahead of time. So my daikon was exactly the height of my jar. So it fits all the way up to the top, but this just means I have shorter daikon. And then you can also stick some things around here. So sometimes I will put some whole garlic cloves or half of a garlic clove if they're really big. I'll put some of those in there as well, and it adds a nice flavor. The thing about that though is if you're gonna make your pickles ahead, the longer they sit, the more garlicky they become, and they can become pretty garlicky. So just be aware of that. I'm frozen. Melanie's telling me I'm frozen. Sorry.
Hey, you're good. You're not frozen.
Okay, sorry.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Is this the whole thing, or just, I don't have a tablespoon, but.
So no, you put the whole thing in there.
Oh, whole thing. Okay, cool.
Yep.
That's all I need.
So that was 2 tablespoons of sugar and a 1/4 teaspoon or half a teaspoon of salt. It was a good pinch of turmeric and a good pinch of pepper. So it's everything you need for the quick pickles.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much.
Yep. So you're going to put that in with half a cup of water and your vinegar. Sorry, I missed that. What was that? Am I still frozen?
Oh, a little bit.
I think it might be you, Melanie.
A bit. Can somebody just show me what the daikon looks like? I already did
Daikon.
it before. Didn't realize we were supposed to wait.
Daikon's
Sorry.
white.
So daikon is white. I have another one. I can go get another one. Give me 1 second. I'll get you another one and show you. So the daikon came in a bag like this, and it should have said daikon on it. Sorry if it didn't. We missed it. And this is what it looks like. So it looks like it's white and it's got a peel. It almost looks like a turnip, but it's got that radishy flavor to it. So it's got a nice pungent radishy flavor to it. It's a radish. It's just a different form of radish than the little red ones that we're used to. So what I did is I just peeled it, and then I cut it into slices, and then I took those slices and cut them into little sticks. So I have little sticks like that. And those you can just put into a jar or into a bowl like this. And then once your spices are boiling, all you're going to do is you're going to pour those over your daikon in your bowl or in your jar, and we're just going to allow them to sit until they're nearly cool. And at that point, we can use them. So we are going to use some of them today. But there's probably going to be some extra. And so the extra ones you can just put in your fridge, and you can use those another day. You can put those on a grain bowl, whatever you want, more bibimbap. Maybe you'll make more kimbap. So that should be the quick pickled daikon. We made daikon today, but this method you can use for quick pickling other veggies. So you can quick pickle beets, you can quick pickle other radishes, the little red radishes, carrots, and whatever you want. By heating up vinegar with a little bit of sugar and salt, you can add in other flavorings, pour them over the veggies, allow them to sit and cool. Once they're cool, you're going to put them into the refrigerator, and you can use them for the next week or 2. So it's a great way to add flavor. So there's our daikon. How's everybody doing with their daikon?
Done.
Done?
Yes.
Yay.
Good.
It's delicious.
Done. I
So
did it
it's-
before.
It's super fun. You know that the turmeric adds a nice little color when we go to make our kimbap. It's going to be really nice in there. So the next part of prepping here for our kimbap and our bibimbap is to prep each one of these veggies separately. So I suggested that you prep your veggies ahead of time. This is called mise en place, having everything ready ahead so that all we're going to do is kind of do the final cooking and then form our dish together. So I've got my cucumbers and I sliced up my cucumber. I have another one here. All I did was take it, cut it in half, and then cut little strips of cucumber from there. And I cut out the center seeds on my last little strip, only because I don't like a ton of seeds, but they're all edible. It's personal choice on that. So there's my cucumber. And all you need to do the cucumber actually is just give it a little pinch of salt. So we're going to add just a little pinch of salt. This is where your kosher salt comes into play. We're going to just toss just a little kosher salt on there and let them sit.
So
And
the cucumber, it says it's 8 inches long.
Well, it depends on how long your cucumber was. So I ended up buying for everybody the little Persian cucumbers.
Yeah, and they look about 8 inches long, but I thought that's awfully long.
Yeah, well, you know, that's going to be the size of our sushi.
Oh,
So
okay.
your sushi nori is about 8 inches long.
Oh, I get it.
So
Okay.
when you're making this at home, if you're buying the vegetables, right, you may buy Persian cucumbers, but maybe you just have a regular cucumber. So then you just cut it. And if you cut it into an 8-inch strip, it goes really easily into your sushi. If you've got smaller pieces like I have, I'll show you. We're just going to kind of layer them on and it's totally fine also. So you can just make do with whatever kind of cucumber you have. But our sushi strips will be about 8 inches. So that was prepping the cucumber. So that was super easy. Then we need to cook some of our veggies. So we're actually just going to quickly saute some of these vegetables. So we have our carrots, we have our zucchini, I've got my mushrooms, and I've got spinach here. I just wanted to show you some tools that I have. So all of this can be done with a knife, right? You can just take a knife and you can slice your zucchini and then cut it into strips, turn those strips and cut them into little matchstick pieces. And that's likely what most of y'all did. And that's what I do sometimes. I also have this tool that I love that I got actually in a Japanese dollar store in Japan, but you can go to Daiso and get one. So that's what this is. It comes in this box and it's essentially like a little mandolin. It comes in this box and there's different attachments or tops for it. So this is the one that does the shredding and ends up shredding your vegetables just like this. So it's a great, fast, fun way to get your veggies into strips. I'll just show you really quickly. Because if you want, you can find one at, you can find these at Ranch 99 or 99 Ranch for sure, but you can also find them at the Daiso, which is the Japanese dollar stores, and there's a couple of them in the area. So all you do is, cut it into a manageable size, and then you just run it right along here. And because of the blade here, it's actually shredding it for me, which is awesome. So then I open it up and I've got shredded veggies. So it's super fast. And you get these really uniform strips as well. So that's a fun tool to know about and use. You have to be a little careful because it's pretty sharp, so you can cut yourself. So just be careful when you're pushing the veggies through, that you don't get too low down there because then you end up getting your fingers caught. But there's like a shredder, there's a fine shred, there's also just a grating tool, and this is just a slicer. So this is like the best $10 I ever spent. It's a lot of fun, it's fast, the kids like it, they can play with it as long as they're careful. So I love using that. and it's a nice inexpensive kitchen tool to have. So the other way, of course, is to just use your knife. And in that case, I would just take my zucchini. My zucchini actually froze on me. It was in the very back of my extra fridge. So it looks a little funny here, but all I would do is cut it into strips, lay those strips down, and then run my knife through them to get little matchstick pieces. So there you go. Either way works. And the next thing we're going to do is just saute off all these veggies. We're going to saute them off separately because then we'll be able to layer them in our sushi or arrange them on our bibimbap, on our rice bowl for our bibimbap. So I have my induction burner here. I'm going to start my induction burner. You guys maybe move into your stoves. So we're going to start the induction burner. Let me know if you can't hear me, but we're just going to saute these off, and it goes really quickly because number one, they're cut pretty small. If you cut them a little bigger, they might take just a minute or two longer in the skillet, but we just want them to be crisp tender. So getting tender, but not totally limp. So usually, you know, just a few minutes for each one of these. So we can start off with the carrots. I'm following the directions. Start off with the carrots. We have a little vegetable oil, so we're going to let this heat up just a little bit. And we'll put a little bit of vegetable oil in our skillet. And then we can add in our carrots. And we'll just saute those for a minute or two. They'll brighten up. They'll soften a bit. I'm just putting a little bit of vegetable oil down. And I'll put my carrots in. And quality control, I had one that doesn't look so pretty, so we'll pull that out. And we're just going to saute that. It shouldn't take too long once your skillet is hot. And then we'll let these go for just a minute or two. We'll add a little pinch of salt and pepper. And then we'll pull those back out into the bowl and we'll go in with our zucchini. How's everybody doing that's cooking along? Everybody on carrots?
Yep. You know what, Amy, can you put your angle down so we can see more of what you're doing?
Oh, so are you not seeing my screen here?
I'm seeing
We're not pinned on that one.
up to here and above. You know, like
Oh, hang on.
we're not seeing your counter.
Because I thought I pinned it.
We're pinned on you, not the cutting board.
Okay.
I don't see the cutting board.
So I removed the pin. Can you guys pin the cutting board then? Ah, somebody's saying spotlight. Let me see if I can spotlight.
How do you pin the cutting board? I forgot.
Oh, to pin the cutting board, you have to go to the corner of the Kubota kitchen screen and then click on the 3 dots. And then there's an option that says pin video.
So that's what I had done. But
What is the 3 dots?
I'm going to say spotlight for everybody. Now do you see it?
Oh, now it's
Oh
spotlight.
yeah, that's good.
Ah, thank you. So I had pinned it, but I think I needed to spotlight it. There we go. All right. So mine is now sizzling and going. We'll let it go another minute or so because it wasn't very hot when I put it in. So we'll let that go a minute or so. And we'll pull them out. Now let's see. I can move this up though so that you can see. Let me see if I can. Let me see. There we go. Let me adjust this just a little bit so you can see the skillet also. Okay. Now you can see the skillet. Yep, okay. So I'm gonna give this just a pinch of salt and pepper. We're gonna do this one really simple, just salt and pepper. If you like sesame oil, you could do this with sesame oil instead of the vegetable oil and get more of a sesame taste or flavor. My son doesn't love sesame oil, so I don't do all the veggies with sesame oil. And I like having the veggies kind of separate, like having each one have a unique flavor. I think it makes it kind of interesting. So that was just salt and pepper. And it's going. I'm gonna take one out. They're still pretty crisp. How are you guys doing? It's awful quiet. Feel free to unmute and talk and ask questions. What's the
Yeah,
beauty
feel
of
free to
this?
use
I
the
already cooked my
chat
veggies
too.
beforehand.
Yeah, we have Cameron here who's managing the chat. So if you have any questions, you can also throw it in the chat. Yeah.
Looks good.
Mine are taking a little longer than, I'm gonna turn my burner up just a little bit so they'll go a little faster. So mine are nearly done. While that's going, we can talk about the rice for a minute. So I think most of you probably have started your rice. We're using Calrose rice. This is the Calrose rice. Oops. There we go. This is the Calrose rice. It's kind of a medium grain rice that cooks up a little bit sticky. So it's nice for things like sushi. You can buy sushi rice. Sushi rice is usually a little bit more expensive. So I tend to just sub in the Calrose rice and it works pretty well for things like the kimbap, musubi and things like that. So Calrose works pretty well, but certainly sushi rice would work as well. And I used my rice cooker. I tend to use it for things like this. But if you don't have a rice cooker, you can certainly make rice on the stove. Just follow the instructions on the packet. And you can also make rice in the microwave. So if you're in the dorm, you know people in the dorm, you can let them know, hey, you can actually cook this in the microwave if you needed to. So they could still make kimbap if they're living in the dorms. Cameron is in the dorms. You can tell the people who only have a microwave that, hey, you can actually make your rice in the microwave. So I'm taking my carrots out. I'm going to just put them back into this bowl. Since the bowl was just for carrots, I don't have to worry about cross-contamination, right? I wouldn't want to put cooked meat back into a bowl that had raw meat, but because this was veggies and carrots, I'm not worried about that. So I'm going to put it right back into my bowl. I'm going to add a little bit of the oil into my skillet again, and now I'm going to go in with my zucchini. And now my skillet's nice and hot, so this time it should go a little bit faster. I'm going in with my zucchini. Again, I'm going to do a little salt and pepper on this one. When we get to some of our other veggies, we'll add in sesame oil and garlic. A little salt and pepper there. Sizzling. I can see people. Mark, how's your kitchen going here?
What's up?
I see you have a
what?
sous chef.
What's that?
Looks like you have a sous chef, a helper.
Yeah, well, I would say this is the master chef that I guess I was promoted to head chef today, so I can't take all the credit. She's really helping me out a lot.
Awesome.
Come say hi.
Angelica's cooking as well. I can't see her. I don't know if
Jamie.
she's a sous
Hi,
chef.
Jamie.
Hey, Mark, what's up? It's
Hey,
Leia.
Liz.
It's Leia.
Oh, Leia, what's up? I'm glad you're here. How's it going?
We've got the whole
Good,
family
Lord.
here.
Yeah.
Leia's son is now at San Jose State.
Ooh, there you go. Spartans for life.
And her second son's in high school.
My son in high school is the one that's cooking it. I'm just watching.
So my zucchini is going really fast. In fact, my zucchini is just about done. I don't want to take it too far. I cut it nice and small. And so it's still got a little bit of texture to it. Maybe crisp, tender. So I'm pulling my zucchini out. I'm going to put it into the bowl. And then I can go in with the mushrooms. If you are at home, you know, the nice thing about this is you can just use the same skillet. So it kind of reduces the amount of, of cleanup that you have afterwards also. If you wanted things to go faster, you could do multiple skillets, but it goes so fast, you really don't need to. So I'm putting the last of my vegetable oil in there, and I'm going to put just maybe a drop or two of my sesame oil. And I'm going to go in with my mushrooms. So now I'm adding in my sliced mushrooms. I'm going to let those cook down just a little bit. And once those are kind of cooked down, then I'm going to add in a little bit of garlic. So you should have garlic. And you know what? I do not. Let me grab some garlic. I didn't come home with a whole kit, so I forgot my garlic, but that gives me a good time to talk to you about garlic. I have a whole head of garlic here. This is a really tiny head of garlic that I got in my farm box, but I can pull up a clove or two. I'm just going to go in with my knife, pull up a clove or two, and I'll mince those really fast. We're gonna
Tammy,
put
how much
some-
sesame oil are we adding to this?
I just put a drop, just a drop. I'm gonna save the rest of the sesame oil for my spinach, and then also a little bit goes in the rice. So this is the thing, we use the Calrose rice. Now's a good time to talk about kimbap as Korean sushi. So sushi is Japanese, obviously, but many Asian cultures have very similar dishes, and kimbap is kind of the Korean version of sushi, but it's a little bit different than the Japanese sushi. So they have their own take on it. So when you make sushi, Japanese sushi, if you've ever seen the movie Jiro Dreams of Sushi, you know that the rice is a big part of the sushi, and it takes a lot of time and skill to learn how to make the rice correctly. So there's the type of rice, there's the way that it's cooked, and then it's also seasoned. And so sushi rice for Japanese sushi is seasoned with a rice wine, salt, and sugar. So it's usually 5 parts rice wine vinegar, 3 parts sugar, 1 part salt. You can just use that ratio. You heat it up just like we did our pickling water, and then cool it down, and that is used to season the rice. In Korea, they don't do that, but they do season the rice, but they season it with some sesame seeds and with a bit of sesame oil. And it's supposed to be seasoned so that the rice is really tasty, like you would actually enjoy the rice on its own. And so that's what the sesame seeds and sesame oil are intended to do, is to flavor the rice. I'm gonna cut off a little piece of my garlic that looks funny. And then I'm just gonna mince this garlic really fast. I'm gonna grab one more clove, because one of my cloves was not so pretty. This was actually from a little farm that I got a CSA bus from. And it's sitting there for a little bit. So I'm mincing this super fast so that I can add in some of this garlic into my mushrooms. And then obviously Korean sushi is filled with different things. So Japanese sushi is oftentimes fish, but it might also be some sort of vegetables, right? And then in the United States, we have our own types of rolls that would not be really traditional in Japan. The California roll is a good example of that. That is American sushi. If you go to Tokyo and you want a California roll, you ask for American sushi and you get a California roll. But in Korea, they will take things like our vegetables that we're prepping here, and they'll layer that into their sushi roll. And they might do tofu. They might do egg. So you can cook egg. You make kind of an omelet and cut it into strips, and that could be added in. Or you might even do meat. So marinated meat, like you would see bulgogi style meat, that could be added into the kimbap rolls as well. So I did provide you with a recipe. So if you wanted to add in meat, you can. If you want to do that another time, you can. And there's a little recipe there for marinating that kind of Korean style. And it's delicious. So my mushrooms are cooking down nicely. They're almost done. The mushrooms I am going to take, cook them all the way. Otherwise, as they sit, they'll just give off a lot of juice, right? So I can actually cook them until they release their juice and kind of take that juice back up. And it makes them more flavorful.
Danitza has a question.
Yeah.
So sorry, do we have anything else other than the mushroom and sesame oil in the pan right now?
No, not yet. So we are going to add in some garlic in a minute, but we want to do that towards the end of the cooking process. So the last like 30 seconds or so, we'll add in a little bit of garlic, and that'll allow the garlic to cook through but not burn. And so I'm letting my mushrooms cook a bit, and then we'll add in the garlic. And we can also add in just a pinch of salt and pepper. So we're kind of seasoning as we go. We're seasoning each vegetable with a little bit of salt and pepper. Yeah. So my mushrooms now have cooked. They look pretty well cooked, and they're starting to kind of stick to the pan. So I know they've kind of released their juices. So what I'm going to do now is add in a little bit of this garlic. So I minced up my 2 cloves of garlic there. And I'm going to add in maybe a third of it. I'm going to add in about a third of it. And in the recipe, it calls for a little touch of sugar if you want. You could do that. You can put a little splash of sesame oil, a little splash of soy sauce. This is kind of up to you. I'm just going to do the garlic right now. And I already had a touch of the sesame oil. So let it go, and it's like 30 seconds. And that really just finishes that garlic. It cooks it so you don't get that raw garlic flavor. But you're not going to go too far that you burn the garlic. That's where you'll see a lot of recipes will tell you to put the onion and the garlic in right at the beginning, and the garlic will burn. So if you see that, you can hold your garlic out till the end and just put it in that last 30 seconds to a minute is going to be better for you. You won't end up burning that garlic. Okay. I pulled my mushrooms out. I'll show you. So here's my mushrooms. So my bowl of mushrooms cooked down to this. I think you guys might have gotten a smaller thing of mushrooms. So you may even have a smaller little thing of mushrooms in the end. They really do cook down quite a bit. So there's my mushrooms, but they smell delicious with the garlic and the salt and pepper. Okay, last thing I'm going to put into my pan is my spinach. So I'm going to again add just the last bit of oil. I have just a touch of that vegetable oil left. And so then I'll add in a little bit of my sesame oil. I want to save a good teaspoon of my sesame oil for my rice. So I'll just add in just a touch of sesame oil. And then the spinach. It's going to wilt down really, really quickly. So you'll notice that it cooks down super fast. So this is going to go fast. This part will go fast. And here you can use tongs, or you can use a spatula or a spoon. And you're just gonna kind of toss that around until the spinach starts to wilt. And I gave you, I think, probably a small thing of spinach. It's gonna cook down to just a very small handful of spinach there. When I'm cooking this at home, I get like the, 10-ounce bag of spinach and cook it. And that's still going to cook down into a small pile of spinach. So just know that what I gave you is a little bit less than you might normally cook, but it's what fit in the bag. So we went a little bit light on the spinach. And it's crazy how much greens, in particular spinach, cook down, right? You have a nice salad with 2 cups of raw spinach, you cook that and you end up with like a 1/4 cup of cooked spinach. It's pretty crazy. But a little bit goes a long way. It's highly nutritious. So it is totally cooking down. I'm going to add in a little bit more garlic so I can flavor this. I'm going with the rest of my garlic, actually. So I put in the rest of my garlic. I'm going to toss it in with my spinach. And I don't think I got salt and pepper in there yet. So I'm going to do a little bit of salt and just a touch of pepper. And I'm tossing that just to cook the garlic a bit and finish wilting my spinach. And we'll be done. Perfect. Okay, there's my spinach. So it's wilted down. I put that into my bowl. And we have essentially prepped all our veggies. How are people doing?
Good. I did this before.
You did it before. Okay, so you're ready already.
Yeah, I wasn't sure because I have to leave it right at 8. So
Okay, so we are going to get on rolling our sushi because that's the fun part, the really fun part. Now we've got all our veggies prepped. So we're ready to go with the rolling of the sushi. So let's get our rice out. What we want to do, let me turn off this so you can hear me a little bit better. What we want to do is take some of our rice. So we're going to use about half of our rice for our kimbap and half of the rice will be for bibimbap. So you can take it out into a bowl. That's the kimbap. My daughter's asking, aren't you making sushi? So I'm going to take out about half of my rice into a bowl so that I can season it. And this is going to be for my for the kimbap. There we go. I'm going to add in about half of my sesame seeds. Saving the rest to go over the top of my bibimbap. And then here's where the rest of the sesame oil is going to go. Not all of it, pretty much all of it. The one thing that we're going to leave is just a few drops of sesame oil in our container here that we can rub our kimbap with. So they rub the outside of the seaweed after it's been rolled with a little bit of sesame oil, and that keeps it moist so that if you're going to store it and eat it later, that it stays nice and moist, and it also makes it kind of pretty and adds a little bit of flavor. So all I did was drizzle that sesame oil over and the sesame seeds, and now I'm just kind of mixing it up. So I'm trying not to smash it. I'm kind of tossing it with kind of the rice cooker paddle, just tossing that together.
How much sesame seed did you use?
I used about half of my sesame seeds that were in the container. And I did not put any salt in when I cooked my rice. Normally I do, but that's kind of a personal preference thing. So there we go. I've got my rice seasoned. Now we'll set up the sushi mat. So you all should have gotten your sushi rolling mat in your kit. That's what this is. Voila, the bamboo sushi rolling mat. If you don't have one, you can do this with just plastic wrap. The bamboo mat is fun to use and it helps get it a little bit tighter. But you can also do the same thing with just plastic wrap. Now, I like to cover that with plastic wrap so that it keeps it cleaner. It's easier to deal with later. So I'm just going to put a piece of plastic wrap right over the top of that. And that's going to be ready for rolling. I want to do another thing is just grab a little cup of water because the rice will stick to your fingers. So if you have a little cup of water, you can wet your fingers and that'll keep the rice from sticking to your fingers. So I'm going to get that ready. And then I'm going to take my nori. So I have a different nori than you guys are using, but any of them really work fine. I got this one that I'm able to get this one called Gimme Organic Sushi Nori I get this just at my Lucky, but you know, any supermarket, you can usually find the sushi nori, or you can go to the 99 Ranch or any of the Asian markets as well and get them. So you end up with these big sheets of nori. So this is a big sheet of seaweed, and you can use them straight up. So if you don't have access to a burner, you can just use this straight up. What you want to do is put that shiny side down. Okay, so I'm going to put the shiny side down. Now, if your nori is a little bit old, maybe you have a big package, you bought a big package and you opened it, so your nori is a little bit old. One thing you can do is toast it. So you can just kind of dry it out over a flame. So if I turn on my oven or my stovetop, I can just grab it with a pair of tongs. Grab it with a pair of tongs and just lightly toast it over the flame. Voila. So I just kind of dragged it over the flame just like that. And just toasted it. But that's an extra step. You can or cannot do that. You don't have to do that. So there's my sushi. So again, I put the shiny side down, and now I'm going to cover this with rice. So what I want to do is I want to leave a little strip at the top away from me, like about an inch. I'm going to leave that strip there, and the rest I'm going to cover with a very thin strip of the sushi rice. So I'm going to take a good, maybe 3/4 of a cup. So I'm just taking a nice spoonful from my bowl, and I'm just going to plop it down. That's about 3/4 of a cup. And then I'm going to wet my hands, and I'm just going to start spreading that. And it's pretty hot, so you can kind of paddle the rice. If it's too hot for you to touch, you can wait a minute or two. Sometimes I just take my sushi nori like this and just kind of fan it a bit, and that will help to cool it down, right? If it's too warm still. So you can do that and cool it down, and that's perfectly fine too. But you're just going to spread this out. So I'm just going to take my wet fingers and kind of spread it out till I get an even layer of the rice covering the nori, but leaving that 1-inch strip at the top. And so I'm going to use about, yep, there we go. That's pretty good. And this is also kind of a personal preference thing too. So if you like yours with more rice, you can make sure you fill it nice and full. But I've got a nice little thin layer pretty much all the way across there. I'm just going to wipe my hands on a clean towel. And then I'm going to start layering my veggies. So here's where I'm going to start layering my cucumber. I'm going to lay cucumber along the edge. I'm going to put a little strip of carrots. I'm going to lay them down. And it's okay if things kind of come out the edge, because then when you cut your sushi or your kimbap, you'll see that you get this nice little, you get the tops with the extras popping out, and it looks pretty. So you can let some of that kind of peek out. And then I'm going to layer some mushrooms, and I'm just kind of layering them side by side here. So I've got some mushrooms in there. And then I'm going to put a little layer of the spinach. And then if you're doing the egg, this is when it would go in. Okay. And I can show you that in a minute. But this is what we're going to start with. How's everybody doing? Angelica, are you rolling? She's rolling. Okay. So now I've got my my first roll ready to go. I'm going to take the plastic wrap, and I'm going to use it to help me kind of fold this over on itself. So I'm going to roll this roll right over on top of itself. And I'm going to keep rolling. So I kind of pull the plastic wrap back. So keep rolling until I get to that strip that's just nori. And then I'm just going to wet my finger, and I'll wet that a little bit, and that'll help it to stick and stay closed. So I'm just going to wet that just a little bit, and then keep rolling. And I've got a nice roll. And what I can do is just fold that plastic wrap over the top, take my sushi mat, and kind of roll it over the top. And then I kind of grab it with my fingers and I push back. So this is going to help to tighten that roll. Okay. So I'm pushing back using the mat to tighten up that roll. Then I can open it up and I've got a nice roll of sushi. So there's my first kimbap roll. I'm going to set that onto my plate. So while y'all are rolling, so there's the first kimbap roll. So then what you would do is you would come back and you would take a little bit of that sesame oil that we saved. Where did I put mine? Here it is. And then you can either use like a paper towel or pastry brush. Just take a little bit of that sesame oil. And I'm just going to brush it along the edge of my kimbap, just so it looks shiny. And it's going to keep it kind of moist too. If you're going to make this ahead of time and maybe enjoy it later or tomorrow, that helps to keep it warm, keep it moist. So there's my first roll of kimbap. Now, let me show you. I just want to show you the bibimbap bowls as well, and then I'll come back and I'll roll some more sushi because I know there's a few people that have to go right at 8 o'clock. So I want to show you what we would do with all of this mise en place, with all of this prep to make the bibimbap bowl. So I would take a bowl, or if you were going to do this as meal prep, you could have your little containers that you're going to meal prep into, and I'd portion out the rest of my rice. And for me, I have enough here to do like 3 or 4 bowls of bibimbap. So it depends on how big you like your serving of bibimbap. You're going to divide that rice. So I'm going to take rice from my rice cooker, and I'm going to get a nice little portion of rice for bibimbap. Okay. So I've got my bowl of bibimbap, and then I'm just going to arrange some of these veggies on the top. So I'm going to take a nice little portion of my carrots. I'm going to take a nice portion of my zucchini. And I'm using my hands because we're eating these here. This is family style for us. I'm going to take some of my spinach, and I'm going to take some of my mushrooms as well. And then I'm going to add a little bit of extra zucchini here because I've got an extra space. Now, bibimbap means, I think it literally means to mix. So it's a bowl and it's intended to be mixed up, but usually it's presented like this with all of your little different components arranged nicely, artfully on the top. And then it would maybe, so this is vegan the way it is, we could just put some gochujang on top of this, and that would be good to go as a vegan bibimbap bowl. We could add tofu, and that would also stay vegan, right? But you can add a fried egg to this. So you can fry an egg and put a nice egg over the top like this, and then add gochujang. And this is also a nice place to add a little bit of sesame seed as well. So you can add a little bit of sesame seed on the top and my gochujang. Or if you do meat, you could add meat instead of the egg. You could add meat and egg. This is really whatever you like. That's what makes it so nice. And the gochujang is Korean chili sauce. So it's similar if you like sriracha and you've not had gochujang before. It's similar but different. So it's the Korean hot sauce. It is kind of unique, but if you didn't have it and you just had sriracha, you could do that. I think I gave you each a little thing of gochujang. So hopefully you've got a little container of gochujang that you can then pour over the top. And that adds a nice spice into this dish. Typically it is pretty spicy. You might also see on here a bit of kimchi. So they might add in place of one of these veggies, some kimchi. That would be nice. You know what I forgot? We forgot to put our pickled daikon in the kimbap. So in the next one, I'll have to do that. I was just like, where's the daikon? So I'm going to put a little bit of gochujang over the top. So this is a funny story. I went to Korea. Some of you that know me know that I was a flight attendant for a period of time. And I used to go with some of my friends. We used to go do our Christmas shopping in Korea. And we went there one time, and I love bibimbap. It's one of my favorite foods. Bibimbap is one of my very favorite foods. And we went to Korea. We went to a restaurant. We ordered bibimbap. It came to the table, and I started to eat it. And the way they eat in Korea is with a soup spoon and chopsticks, right? So they use chopsticks, but also soup spoon. And I was picking off little bites and eating it, and I was totally enjoying it. And these gentlemen were at a table near us, and I saw them kind of watching us. And one of them stood up, came over, took my bowl, took my utensils, and mixed it all up for me, and then handed it back to me. So obviously I had been eating it wrong. So I learned how to eat bibimbap the correct way while I was in Korea. So my daughter is asking if she can try this. So yes, I'm going to hand this over to my daughter. You come over and eat it. I don't think she wants to get on camera. I fried the egg up earlier. She's taking it away. So mix it up and then come back and take a taste so they can see it. Okay, she's going to come back with our bibimbap. So I will go ahead and make another roll of the kimbap. So you can take this prep. You could make all kimbap. You could make all bibimbap, or you could make half and half with our prep. So here, let me roll another one. How's everybody doing with their kimbap? Anybody having trouble? Anybody having trouble with the kimbap? Everybody doing okay? Awesome. Any questions? No questions? Any comments?
Do you put the daikon in the kimbap?
Yes, I forgot on that roll. Exactly. So I'm going to make another one, and I'm going to put the daikon in. So just, it would be one of my layers. So here's my nori, and it's that shiny side down. I'm going to add my rice on top. Wet my hands, and I'll spread out the rice. So I actually took a sushi making class with a sushi expert, and it was really fun to watch him form rolls. He had actually a method of getting the rice onto the nori. He was trained in sushi making in Japan. That was fun to watch. So I'm not quite as as good at it as he is, but as long as you get a relatively thin layer and even layer, that's what you're looking for. Sometimes you just need to patch it a little bit. Okay, so this time I'm not going to forget my daikon. I'm going to start with my cucumber. I'm going to add some daikon. I actually love the daikon in here. I think it's super tasty. Carrots.
I've been eating the daikon.
Isn't that yummy?
I have been eating the daikon.
Yeah, I love it. It's unique. It's certainly not something most Americans are used to, but it's a really interesting flavor. Katie's putting a little bit more daikon for me. I'm gonna add my spinach.
Anything radish I like.
You know, the mushrooms are really nice in this too, because it gives it kind of that umami since it's. Oh, here. So Katie mixed up the.
I started eating it.
And she started eating it. Here's our bibimbap bowl all mixed up with the egg mixed in. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's delicious. That's literally one of my favorite meals. I love bibimbap. I'm putting my mushrooms now. Okay, so again, what you do is you take that plastic wrap and you use it to help you kind of start to tuck this roll, get the roll going. Just pull the plastic wrap back as you're going. And then roll it as firmly as you can, but you'll be able to use the plastic wrap and your sushi rolling mat to finish that up. Use some water just on that edge, and that will just help it to stay closed.
Second one's going easier than the first.
Second roll went better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes a little practice. It's been one of the things that I started making during lockdown was sushi. And so we like to make sushi with different things. What I'll do is I'll make tempura sushi, but I don't actually like to make the tempura at home. So I order out the tempura. Yeah, I don't like to fry things at home. So I order out the tempura, I go pick it up, and then I prep all my veggies, and we make our own sushi rolls here at home. It also saves you a lot of money if you're doing it at home. So I've got number 2, and I'll make one more. Oh, hang on, I'm gonna cut it. Let me cut it because my daughter is wanting to eat. And I know some of y'all have to go, so let me show you the cutting method as well. Where's my, there's my, here is my sesame oil. So let me just wrap this one with sesame oil, and then I will slice one for you. So this is where having a nice sharp knife does help. So what you want to do is, if you can, use a nice sharp knife. I'm going to put this out onto my cutting board, and I can cut both of those at the same time. You can also use a little bit of that sesame oil. So if you rub your knife with a little bit of sesame oil as well, just very gently, be careful with your finger, right? But you can rub the blade a little bit with a little bit of that sesame oil, and it'll also help to keep it from sticking. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut those in half using a nice sharp knife, cut those in half, and then you can take those, turn them around, and then you can go through all 4 at the same time. So I'm just going to try to cut them relatively evenly. And I'll get about 5 more slices. So each one of these will get cut into 10 pieces. And there we go. Put that out onto a plate. And here's my kimbap. And this you can just dip with soy sauce. So, you know, traditional sushi in Japan, you'd use wasabi. We've got the daikon. We've got the daikon in there. So this is the kimbap. Katie keeps reminding me that this is kimbap, not sushi. Sorry if I'm saying the wrong one.
Rice is different.
The rice is slightly different. So the rice is seasoned with the sesame instead of the vinegar and sugar and salt that they use in Japan. And then these are the nice little tops that have all the veggies flowing out. These are my favorite pieces, the extra veggies. So that's 2 rolls here. Oh, this last one fell apart. My son is asking if I'm making tempura roll. Not today. Sorry, guys. We are making the Korean version. So there is the kimbap. And Katie, where's my bibimbap? And here is the bibimbap.
Yay.
Yay. And we're right at 8 o'clock. So how are you guys doing?
Good. My second roll kind of, I think I put too much in it, but it's okay.
So you can use, yeah, if you put a lot of filling in them, that's where you kind of get, it takes a little experience to know how much filling you can put in. If you overfill them, they're a little bit harder to roll, but then use your sushi mat to tighten it up.
Do you have tempura sauce?
We do in the
Not
cabinet.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody? Let's see. Melanie, can we see? Angelica, let's see. I can almost see yours.
I'll show it to you in a second. I'm putting it on the plate.
I also overloaded my sushi, but it's coming along.
Especially when you're
Once you
hungry.
cut it into the plate.
I'm like working on.
Oh my gosh, good job,
Yes.
Angelica. That looks lovely.
Thank you.
Overloaded it at all. I might have underfilled mine.
Ours is
Mine looked a
done.
little smaller.
We finished
Leia, let's
ours
see
already.
yours.
It's all done.
You're not on camera, Leia. Let's
Jamie,
see.
we finished ours.
You already ate it?
We ate it already.
So fast. That's
So
awesome.
good. Oh, there we
Awesome. So they've eaten their, oh, Katie's putting some furikake on ours. So Leia and both her boys, they've finished theirs already and they've eaten it already. Good work.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mark, let's see yours. Did it turn out?
Amazing. Well, I have my bowl right here. I don't know if you guys could see it.
Look at your bibimbap. That looks
Yeah.
lovely.
The rolls are here, and Miss Stephanie is cutting them right now, but it looks really, really good, and she loved it. Her family loved it. I mean, what can I say?
That's awesome. So
mine.
excited. Melanie,
You see it?
there you go. Oh my gosh, there's your bibimbap.
There's my
Yay.
bibimbap.
Good work. So glad to see
Professor
that.
Kubota, did you want to take a group photo with everyone and whatever food they have left?
That's a great idea. If anybody has any left, just a minute, Ryan. If anybody has any left, we can hold them up and have a group photo. That'd be awesome.
I'm almost done cutting mine.
Scott, did you finish?
Here we go.
There we go.
Mine.
I'm on gallery now. Lori, your kimbap looks great.
Here's mine.
Jasmine, she's got hers going too. I see a thumbs up. Awesome. Oh, there we go. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna count to 3. Okay, is everyone ready?
There's
Yeah.
Jared. He's still on the stove, but I see his on the cutting board. Looks awesome. Great work, everyone.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, one more just in case. 1, 2, 3. Okay, yeah, good job.
Well, this has been super fun. Thank you, everybody who cooked along. It was really fun. Hope
It
you
was
guys
fun making sushi.
enjoyed.
I like vegetable sushi anyway.
I hope y'all will enjoy the meal with your friends and family or on your own. So again, we'll be doing this in 2 weeks. We're doing a burrito bowl with salsa and guacamole. So we hope you'll join us then. We'll send everybody here an email about that, and then it'll be on Instagram as well. So everybody have a good night. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thank
What a
you,
great
guys.
day.
Have a great
welcome.
evening. Bye.
See you again soon.
Bye. Take care, everybody. See you later.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Melanie. Good to
I'm
see
gonna
you.
use I'm gonna use a Japanese bowl and be official. It's not